Welcome to Views from the 22 live on the scene playoff preview wildcard weekend. We got Germ So True, we got Mo Schefter, we got Vic Jr. in the house tonight. We're gonna talk a little playoff review, a little bit of a preview. We're gonna get the whole thing going, but you see Re and Pre, and we're gonna go on and get this done tonight. Again, man, make sure you guys always come back to the scene on the YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, scene underscore the Twitter, the dot scene on Instagram. Make sure you guys are subscribed, check us out, all that good stuff. So, hey man, we got a jam-packed show for y'all.
Yes, we do.
We got a
some
jam-packed
coaching
show.
news we're gonna get to.
Coaching news and everything else. But let's just start at the top, real quick. We were just having a beard discussion, right? Because this is the podcast for bearded men.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting here talking, and they're like, Germ, how are you keeping, during quarantine, how you keep it? I just got an inside plug that I haven't released to the world yet. So until I release my inside plug to the world, I was telling the fellas that I can get them some beard butters that are going to be great for their actual beards, for moisturizing and things of that nature. And we were just discussing that. So, fellas, what are some products that you guys like to use on y'all beards? So maybe I can put together a line, somebody that could sponsor us.
So here's the thing, right? And this is where the discussion happened. My beard is out of control. You really can't see much of it because of the lighting. But if you was to see this thing in person, this thing is crazy. And what I was telling the fellas was, I'm using this it's like a heated comb or a heated brush, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really helped me during the quarantine because where I'm at, nobody's doing beards. And I had this barber that I used to go to his house, but I found out that he's going to other people's houses and nobody wearing masks and nobody doing this and he's all over the place. So I'm just like, okay, like with what I do for a living, I'm already being exposed enough. I don't need to add any added exposure because at the end of the day, we still got to take this thing with some sort of seriousness. So I bought this comb and it's really helped me keep it under control. But if you really look at this thing, like this thing is, you could grab with both hands and you still not touching the skin with how much hair I have underneath here. And then if you, Germ, I'm sure if your plug is watching in the comments, she could tell like when my line comes down is a little lighter than my actual beard. And that's mainly because when the quarantine hit, I found this person who's somebody, trying to get her small business up under the ground. And so I was trying to help them, not help them out. I wanted to contribute to the cause. I didn't really care for the customer service too much though, because I had a couple questions and I felt like they wasn't answered with detail, nor did they seem interested in answering. So that's how I bought the brush. But it's to the point now where it's like, okay, I gotta start getting some stuff because I gotta start putting some oils in there. I gotta go back to conditioning it and shampoo and all that. But I'm picky, Germ. I'm picky. Like there's certain
I know, I understand.
I don't like too much alcohol. I don't like too much ingredients. There's just
that's the thing
few
too.
basic things.
Well, that's what we're gonna do. The scene soon will be having a beard brand, a bearded manufacturer sponsor us. That'll be one of our first sponsors. So get y'all backgrounds ready.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have those things going. And listen, we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be having. We got customs from all different types of people because of what I do for a living. So we're going to be having some fun. We're going to have some dope merchandise, dope ass merchandise, and we're going to have all types of stuff. So trust me when I tell you, we got some beard butters out here that we're going to be letting you guys try. You guys can try them and tell everybody how you guys like them, and we'll go from there. Both of y'all, I will get both of y'all addresses, and y'all will be getting some packages from Germ. Or y'all live close enough, I'll drop them off.
Yeah.
So
or deliver it. You could run it through one of our ground services. We got to see it.
Yes, absolutely. Send it right to the terminal.
Yeah. And get paid for it.
Yeah.
I get paid to deliver to me.
Hey, look, that's boss moves.
Listen, the scene, baby. So let's get to some of these coaching news whenever we're ready to move on.
Let's get there. Let's just say this because Vic really hasn't said too much. Vic, man, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? You good?
No, I mean, you know, I've had to control my beard too. This was bought for me for Christmas by my sister. She saw it on Instagram. It's one of those beard cones with the
Yeah,
little
that's
heat
that's
and
like the
stuff like
same
that.
thing I have. That's the same one I have.
Yeah.
Is that the Viking something or whatever?
It says Jurgen K. Jurgen
No,
K.
you know what? Let me look
Straightener
at I'll
brush.
show you the one I have. Hold on.
You gonna
Oh,
leave that,
snaps. Oh,
so
snaps.
so that I mean that thing it actually feels good. It feels like a good massage, a good something good to relax yourself to do for like 15 minutes. But and it works. You know, I got that curly type of um, beard going, but it works. So you know, you just have to be real consistent with it. You know what I mean? Try to do it at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, it's look now, mind you,
This is the one I
2 months
have.
2 months ago, y'all, I cut the whole thing off,
Yeah, I
and we
know. I
all
remember.
and we almost back fully full, and everything
Yeah.
is great. Had a couple patches that I wanted to put together for it. So hey, I look, it was perfect. The oils, the butter, and the conditioner.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm gonna get you guys. I'm gonna get you the combination that I'm using, and y'all can use that. That's literally
Listen.
what I've been using on the beard. And if I had all of the products here, matter of fact, is this? It looks just. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
And the inside, it looks just like a regular, like a whipped cream type of a thing. You're gonna apply it in your hands, literally just like this, just like this. Applies just like a butter.
Oh yes. Yeah. That looks nice. That looks real nice.
So
Because I don't like some of those oils. I mean, again, I haven't tried too many products. I only tried two, and the second one was from the Art of Shaving. I don't even remember where I first bought the first one, but the Art of Shaving by me closed down, and I don't really like ordering stuff online when it comes to this stuff. That's another problem I have. It's like I like to. It's almost like cologne. Like you can't buy cologne online. That's just how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. I'm serious. But some of those oils, like if it's gonna be that just oily, I guess I'd rather
Yeah, it's
just use
uncomfortable.
straight olive oil, honestly, than to use something with a bunch of different ingredients in it. That's
Right.
a little free game. If you really
Well,
trying to buy anything, if you just want to keep it simple, go in your kitchen, grab some olive oil, and just start rubbing it in. And the olive oil, you would. I mean, we'll talk about this on another show when me and Vic have a nutrition debate or topic or discussion. But olive oil is quote unquote superfood, if you ask me, because
yeah.
it serves so many things beyond just the nutrients it provides for your digestive system. Anyways,
So
this is what I'm using real quick, Vic.
yeah.
When I'm not gonna plug it in, but when I first got this, I was still using the products. I was still getting the shape ups, so I wasn't really using it as much. But when I did use it, I'd put it to like 160 Celsius. That is trigonometry. I don't know if you can convert that live, but 160 degrees Celsius. Now I got to put it to the max at 180, and believe it or not, steam starts coming out of this thing because of how much hair it's pulling. But the beautiful thing about it is it keeps it tight and it keeps it from jumbling up. Like if I didn't have this thing, I promise you wouldn't even see the note on the no beef, no Lombardi. I'm serious. This thing is crazy right now. Go ahead, Vic.
Now, shout out to a real Mac 1982. I don't know who that is, but I was just gonna say if olive oil is good, but probably coconut oil as well. It's a little
Yeah,
cheaper as well.
sure.
So coconut oil, I like to use coconut oil all over my body. Anyway, pause. But that's one of my favorite goes to.
Oh, okay.
But I got this from Whole Foods, and Jeremy, I'm still willing to try the product that you got. But this one is it's called Bulldog
Yo,
from
Big Shot.
Original.
Big Shot said clean, hashtag clean living, clean face. Man, what?
This is Bulldog Mo from Whole Foods, and the only ingredients it has is aloe, camelina, and green tea.
Okay, so you know what? So you know we
It's only
actually
three ingredients.
so when we do our show for this when we actually have the sponsor lined up and everything.
That's why he's
And
Coco
everybody's-
Vic. That's
Hey.
right.
That's why they call me.
Coco
They
Vic.
call me Coco since I was little.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, Coco looking crazy. But oh, that's cuckoo, huh? But
Yeah.
anyway, with that being said, hey man, we're gonna have a sponsor for this. Don't worry, we're gonna have a lot of stuff that we're gonna be doing on the channel. We support all small businesses, growing businesses, or whatever the case is. So make
For
sure
sure.
you guys, if you guys got a product that y'all want for us and y'all want to talk about some things, this is the place to do it. Because we grow, we like to, water the plants around us and make sure everybody is getting what they need. In the words of Young Jeezy, circulate, circulate. I like that. So, Mo, I'm gonna let you get to the coaching news.
Yeah.
Hey man, shouts out to everybody in the comments. We're about to kill this for y'all tonight because we in our bags. It's going. Coaching news. Then we're gonna get into these matchups. We watched a little film together before the show. We got some things we're gonna talk about. So let's go.
Yeah, so obviously it's been a lot happening in the coaching world.
Yes, it
And
has.
instead of me going through the headlines, let's just go one by one through the three biggest things. The first one, let's just start at the top. And we don't want to spend too much time on this tonight because we did earlier this week, but we've been talking about it. Obviously, the big news that came down is that Doug Peterson has been fired by the Philadelphia Eagles. It came down yesterday. And what I'll say off top, and then I'll pass it to you, Vic, at the end of the day, the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, if you in the comments under some sort of burner account, you're welcome, okay? You're welcome. Because this is what we've been telling you to do. Do not choose your head coach over your franchise quarterback because he is very easily replaceable in Doug Peterson, and Carson Wentz is not. So you could say what you want, you could think what you want, and you could objectively, highly criticize his play over the last 2 seasons, and you will have a lot of valid points. But it doesn't take away from the bottom line. Carson Wentz, at his worst, I will still take him over 26 other quarterbacks. And that's just being honest. When he's at his best, he's easily something of the most special things that we've seen. And there needs to be somebody in there that needs to come in there and just give him his love for the game back, give him his confidence back more than anything, because I think his love of the game is there. But when you start being this frustrated and you have such a disconnect with your head coach, it's a problem. And there's a trickle-down effect to that, because now the players automatically is like, wait, player or coach, player or coach, player or coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, Vic, I'm going to pass it to you, and then I'll get to the rumors after Germ goes of who they're thinking about getting for him. But we talked about this, quarterback over coach.
No, for sure. I mean, so there's different levels to this, right? So we already know and we feel, right? And a lot of people agree that Carson Wentz is one of the elite level quarterbacks. So when you get in this situation where you have to choose between the two, you have to make that choice with the elite quarterback. I mean, he's gonna be there for another, he might have a career for another 8 to 10 years anyway. And at the end of the day, it's the most important position in sports. And then you had those rumors of him apparently butting heads with some guys in the locker room. Now, how true are those rumors? How true is that really now, judging by the fact how that last game went and now by Peterson being fired. So I think the Eagles still have a united locker room. As I pointed out a couple weeks ago after their loss on week 17, you saw Carson Wentz was outside with Jason Kelce and Zach Ertz in the middle of the rain, probably discussing possibly never playing with each other again. Well, it looks like they could come back and enjoy another couple seasons together. So, at this stage now, whoever they bring back, there's some rumors that I didn't like. I don't know what Mo has gotten for us right now, but hopefully they get somebody that is of quality, and then now it's time for Carson to show if he's really the guy for that football team.
Mm-hmm. Well, before I get to the rumors, I'm gonna let Jerm give his thoughts on this.
Only thing I'm gonna say is this: Rex's and Joe's versus X's and O's. We say that all the time. We talk about this extensively. We've talked about this a lot. Coaches don't win them. The players win them, but the coaches can lose them. People may say, well, that may make no sense. Simply put, the coach's job is to bring out the best in each player he has on a 53-man roster in the confines of between the lines of the game and on the field. So at the end of the day, if the coach's job, for example, John Harbaugh does a hell of a job getting the most out of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens offense because he built it around what the quarterback does well. If you focus on a team, especially when you have a younger team or a young quarterback, a guy that is coming off of a rookie deal, you build the team around their strengths. And from that point, you then allow them to come up. You take some of the things away and you allow them to spread their wings proverbially and fly. That's when you get your franchise quarterback. I'm not asking you to be a franchise quarterback in the first 5 years. What I'm asking you to do in so many words is to show me qualities of a franchise quarterback in the first 5 years.
Yes.
Show me we can win in the first 5 years. And that's all we can ask for. And I think everybody here will agree with that, with everything I just said, because it's really that simple. We don't have to go any further than what I just said. It's that simple.
You're absolutely right.
Make football common sense again. That's all we're trying to do.
Yes. So let's get to the Eagles rumors real quick, fellas, and give me your thoughts on this. The biggest names being linked to this job right now is Lincoln Riley, Robert Saleh, and Todd Bowles. Now, what I'll say is this. Todd Bowles, that is not a good hire for the Philadelphia Eagles. That is not a good hire for the Philadelphia Eagles. You
said Riley, Bowles, and who one more time?
And then Robert Saleh, who's a defensive coordinator. Again, I understand the Eagles have some defensive woes that need to be fixed and fixed immediately. But I don't necessarily think that is what your franchise needs. I think this is a franchise that needs somebody who can really understand the coaching aspect of offense. Now, if he's going to bring in a good coaching staff with him, then sure, we'll see what that goes. As for Lincoln Riley, I hate it as well. I think, to me, and I don't know if this name has circled around or not. I've seen his name pop up, but he's still coaching in the playoffs, so who knows what his opportunities will be. But I think, to me, outside of Eric Bieniemy, Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, should be a guy getting just as much look. Daboll, yes, I'm sorry. Getting just as much looks as anybody else. He was a tight ends coach for the Patriots. Then he was the offensive coordinator for Alabama. And now you're seeing what he's doing with Josh Allen and this offense. And I think he is someone who deserves to get the same looks, the same attention, and the same energy as anybody else. Fellas, jump in this.
Vic, do you have anything before I go?
I mean, I don't listen anybody but Adam Gase and Doug Peterson at this stage, because I heard Adam Gase as a rumor. So
what about?
Oh, Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
This must be some sort of bad joke for 2021 already. But I don't know. Lincoln Riley. I think that's somebody that they should consider more. I don't have an issue with that, just to get fresh blood in the league already, man.
All right.
So,
all right. Here we go again, Germ. Here Germ goes again. Make football common sense again. Lincoln Riley is a hell no. I'm going to tell you why Lincoln Riley is a hell no. The Eagles' problem isn't offensively or defensively. It's personnel. Personnel is the Eagles' issue. It's not about the scheme. It's about the personnel. So no matter what scheme you run, what are you going to do with the players that they have currently? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So Lincoln Riley runs the air raid system. The air raid system is not where Carson Wentz needs to be making his focus as a quarterback. He's a guy who he can run an EP. Carson can run any offense.
I agree.
Because intellectually he can grasp the concepts. We got a football smart guy here. So why are we doing air raid concepts? It's almost like we're trying to dumb it down for him, like he's not smart enough. That's what I would think if Lincoln Riley was my head coach, because I don't think that what he does is sophisticated or doesn't really challenge you schematically. I think it's really just, hey, if I got the front four to make sure, the front four or the 5-man rush or pressure to make sure that you can't get this off, then you're not going to get it off. It's just that simple. All right, now as far as Bowles go, no, Bowles doesn't fit anything about Philadelphia.
Yeah.
His personality doesn't even fit.
Right.
Salah, as much as I like him, he's not a head coach.
Interesting.
I don't think he's a head coach.
Interesting.
I think he's a very, very good defensive guy. I think he's a good assistant coach. Move him up slowly. Don't just immediately just throw him to the wolves like that. I think he's a really good motivator. I love his fire on defense. But you're talking about a guy who wants to call the plays. As a head coach, unless you're Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll, I don't want you calling plays.
Yeah.
I want you doing certain things because those are the only two guys who have proven they can win. And the next thing, Dable. Dable doesn't sound as bad as those hires.
Sure.
But Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has another team called Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin fits the culture of that organization.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you like
Wait
that,
a
didn't
minute.
you?
What are you
You like
saying?
that. I'm saying Mike Tomlin fits the culture of that organization in that state.
Yeah.
If you're going to put a coach in that state, he has to fit the organization of what Philadelphia personifies and what the state personifies.
You are absolutely right.
I'm with that understanding. This is, again, I'm just making football common sense.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to hire a head coach, we need a guy who's stern, a guy who's about his business, and a guy who is not about micromanaging, who's going to bring in a staff that he's going to trust, and they're going to go out and compete hard every Sunday. A guy that's going to hold everybody accountable.
You're right.
So thinking about it, I'm not saying Tomlin is the guy, by the way, for anybody thinking that.
I hear you. I thought that's what you were going to go with.
No. You're going to have to pry him away from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has no reason to fire that man.
No, they do not.
No reason whatsoever. But what I'm saying is your head coach has to personify where you are. And that's what the problem is with a lot of these organizations. Their head coaches don't match the organizations. And that's a crazy point of view, but you look at it and you say, well, damn. Look at Pete, Seattle, West Coast. Yeah. Look at Bill, East Coast. Like, Bill wears hoodies with the sleeves cut out of them. Like,
hey, listen.
Like, that's different.
Can't get any more Boston than that.
What's that?
I say you can't get any more Boston than that.
No. Well, Sean McVay would have never went to St. Louis. Okay, Sean McVay is a Hollywood coach name.
That's that's what I'm saying.
Hair to the side.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bro.
And he's
that dude
young.
is Hollywood all the way.
So you look at the coach. So look at the teams that we have now. Andy Reid in Kansas City. The big Kool-Aid is in what do they call Kansas City?
Barbecue.
I mean, come on, like what's in Kansas City?
Barbecue, baby. Cheeseburgers and ribs.
And the big Kool-Aid, baby.
Yo.
And what do Andy Reid look like he eat? Barbecue. No offense, not a bad thing, but it looks that fits him.
And we all like a little barbecue.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's okay being the big Kool-Aid. Oh, yeah. That's what he said when he dropped his plays. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, just look at the teams that we have. Kevin Stefanski fits Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cool, calm, collected, conservative guy, takes the media stuff, doesn't talk, doesn't make excuses, blue-collar guy.
Yeah.
He fits. So look at the teams that we currently have, look at the cultures we have, and it makes sense. People are probably like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. It's
only
just
views.
paying attention.
Only in views.
It's just paying attention.
Yeah.
And these are the organizations that win.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, Bruce Arians actually fits Arizona. Fits Tampa Bay.
And Arizona. You know why? Because that's where people go to retire.
All right, well, Mo,
Buddy.
So Dable actually may not be a bad name. He may be the guy who may be good enough to bring in the right staff to get Wentz where he needs to be. Wentz doesn't need a lot of micromanagement. Wentz just needs a guy to motivate him, to let him be the best version of himself. That's what Carson Wentz needs. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to let that go. We're going to move on to the next part of the news. But that took a little longer, but I wanted to give examples. I didn't just want to just throw that out there.
Right.
But these coaches fit. Baltimore and John Harbaugh, that's a marriage. You can't. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get rid of him, right? He fits what they do. Baltimore is a place you have to adapt.
Brian Flores in Miami, little Cuba.
He fits in. He fits in.
It makes it so y'all with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is not premeditated, by the way.
No. No. Hey,
so
listen.
Was the clapper fitting well in Texas? Was he a Texas guy?
Well, he was a yes man. So, anyways.
Nope.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Listen.
right.
Quick news. As far as Eric Bieniemy, the Texans have finally requested an interview with Eric Bieniemy. That's obviously not going to happen till after February. So what I will say here in this situation is, you might be, I can't remember what the phrase is. You're a day late and a dollar short. That's what it is. You're a day late and a dollar short, because you wait till February, you better be sure you hire him, because at that point, most of the candidates are going to be gone. Now, you could have a situation where people just wait to see where that big domino falls, and then they go from there. But more than likely, they're not going to do that. So we'll see what happens there with that situation. If they do hire him, good for them. Good for Nick Caserio. Good for Deshaun Watson. Hopefully, that'll be enough to keep Deshaun, and I believe it will. So if you get him, if you interview him, you better get him. Lastly, a couple of things I'm hearing is that there are coaching candidates who are declining interviews with the New York Jets. That's about as Knicks as it can get, B. That's horrible. Oh, and then let's jump into this, and that will be a great segue, Jerem, as I toss it back to you into what we're going to talk about next. Brian Schottenheimer, offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. The first thing is Pep Hamilton is the name linked to that job. I think that is a great fit. Former Stanford head coach, coached Andrew Luck. Former Colts offensive coordinator, coached Andrew Luck. I think he is a phenomenal play caller, a really good coach, and he will fit well as an offensive coordinator for Russell Wilson under Pete Carroll. And that's where we're going to jump in the lab as far as what we saw, the atrocity that happened this weekend. Jerm?
So as we get into this, we got a couple games that we're going to discuss, and then we got some games that we're going to discuss with a little bit more upbeatness to them. Let's start at the top. We're going to start with the game you just came from, Seattle and the Rams. Look, I'm not a fan of some of the things I've seen on film. I think some of it, Russ can be a little bit more patient. But the other part is the offensive line has to be better.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree on that part. Let's focus on the key points. Offensive line needs to be better. The play calling needs to be better. And more than anything else, and we got to say this, Seattle has never been the same since they had lost their pass rush. After 2013, they have never been the same.
Yeah.
So I just got to make sure we say that the real Seattle Seahawks defense that we need to be seeing moving forward, they need to bring back the pass rush. Shouts out to the Rams, man. They made plays. We can tell that they were really locked in and engaged. The interception return for a touchdown, a terrible tunnel screen play that was called.
Yeah.
Terrible play. It was ran terribly. DK Metcalf, shame on you. Like, there's no reason why you should be standing still on a tunnel screen situation. Tunnel screens are made for you to come back to the ball and make sure that you're helping your blockers. You're aiding your blockers that are reaching. Even though they're receivers, you're still aiding. This man stood still and he got his quarterback with a pick six. Even though I don't like Russ threw it, I can't blame that all on Russ. That is on execution as well. And execution doesn't always fall on just the quarterback. It falls on the players around him and the people who didn't do it. So shouts out to the Rams for moving on. They go up to Green Bay. to go to Lambeau Field. That should be an excellent game and an excellent test. Fellas, Vic, I'm gonna start with you, then we go to Mo. What did you think about the game? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a trickle down effect. You know, the offensive coordinator obviously just got fired. There's a lot of things, you know, that are rumored to have been going on in terms of the offensive locker room and things like that. And then, like you said, bro, the pass pro wasn't good. Another thing that you didn't point out, but we talked about while we were watching, the run game is not very good. So they're not pass protection and they're not pass protecting well, and they're not running the ball well. And then the receivers, I see a lot of extra steps on their routes. Not necessarily Tyler Lockett. We already know where he is in his career, but DK could get better, and David Moore could get better. Another thing that I saw that I think with this offense is the tight end position is not what it used to be for Russ. So there's a lot of things. You know, again, if I'm not going to blame Carson Wentz for what's going on in Philly, for the issues they had offensively, I can't blame Russ. I think Russ has overcome some of the issues that they have to kind of carry that team on his shoulders. And that's why I put him at the category that I feel he's in, is because I think there's more plays where he has to do more than there is plays where you could say, all right, Russ, you could be better here. So, you know, there's a lot to fix in Seattle. There's a lot to fix in Seattle before I'm going to, again, get to the quarterback. I mean, you could call me the best QB defender in the world, but that's where it's going to be if I feel like the quarterback is an elite player. So
it can't just be about dangerous. That's all.
Yeah, we're going to start calling you Vic Munoz. And shout out to Anthony Munoz, because then nobody protect quarterbacks like you. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. You know, if anybody's going to die on that fence with you, it's going to be me when it comes to the quarterback position, because there is a lot that goes into that position. While yes, they deserve a lot of the credit most of the time for the success. And they deserve just as much as the blame sometimes for the loss. But there are happy mediums. You got to evaluate each game, each situation for what it is. And I think with Russ, again, there is a lot of critique that we can have of Russ, no doubt about it. For me personally, just to show you how ironic it is before people keep calling Jerm a hater, we were watching some tape earlier, and I kept talking about how I just don't like his feet placement. And Jerm said, well, Mo, that's where he's comfortable. And that's where I'm like, okay, you're right. It doesn't matter what I think. That's just my preference. But if that's where he's comfortable, because you have to allow for individual differences, that's the Webster terminology for the day, individual differences. You have to allow that when it comes to quarterbacks, because certain guys just do certain things differently. And that's their comfort level. Why would I change that? Why would you want to change that? And I think what you saw with Seattle, Vic alluded to some of the issues in the locker room. If you looked at some of those post-game interviews, those quotes, the quarterback, the receiver, and the head coach were all throwing this offensive coordinator under the bus. They were putting all the blame on him, saying that teams started playing them differently in the latter half of the season, and there was no adjustments made, nor in-game, nor in the game plan leading up to the game. And that's a big problem. That tells me a lot. What it tells me mainly is you're just not very good at your job on this level. Maybe you got to, the apple sometimes rolls a little farther from the tree than you would like for it to think. That's just the bottom line. You know who his father is. We all know who his father is in terms of Brian. He had to go. There isn't really any sort of purpose to their scheme, to their concepts, to their route combinations. There's really no purpose. As Jerm talked about it in pre-show, they just saying you go here, you go there, and you go there, and Russ figure out who you want to throw to. And that's a problem. It's hard when two things are happening. When number one, the quarterback doesn't necessarily believe in what they're running, and number two, and more importantly, the quarterback doesn't trust his offensive line. Go ball, Jerm.
So, I mean, I don't think there's really anything else we need to add to that. Seattle, improve your offensive line this offseason. That needs to be one thing you need to focus on. And also pass rush. So trenches. It's about the trenches. The trenches is where you're going to get back to being the most dangerous team in your division.
Right.
And that's where the Rams have always been good if you look at it.
Mhm.
The Rams have always been good in the trenches, and that is the reason why the Rams have always been the thorn in Seattle's ass. Literally.
Yeah.
No, and there was a period in this season, the first 6 to 7 weeks, where you said, all right, this offensive line is playing better.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your offensive line, you got your quarterback, you got some decent running backs to work with, and you got DK and Tyler Lockett. So you look at it as, wow, they could just work on this defense in the offseason. Well, now all of a sudden, they need some tight ends. They need some running backs. They might need some more help at the receiving position. I mean, because it looks like Carson is slower to me. He looks less explosive. Okay, there is no tight end. Greg Olsen at one point was a serviceable target for Russ, but you can't trust that for the 16 games either. So, and then Russ, like somebody pointed out here, can't run for the rest of his life. Tyrell Love, that's a good point. As he's starting to get older, he's not the same explosive athlete when it's time to take off out of the pocket. He's a pocket passer. He has developed into an elite pocket passer, in my opinion, and he just can't do that forever. So it's time that we protect him. And I feel like I've said this before, Jeremy. I don't remember a couple years back. It feels like the Seahawks draft according to what Russ can do outside the pocket. He can do this, so we don't need the draft protection for him. Well, it's time to change the way you think with that situation.
Watch this, Vic. What positions are most important for protection for an actual quarterback?
Tackles.
Tackle and center. The center sets the protection, and the tackles are normally who execute the highest part or the highest duty of the actual protection. So you take those two players, and then you wonder why with Posick and with Dwayne Brown, those two players, if those are your best two players, we got problems.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call it what it is. No disrespect to the player, they're not the elite level players that Frederick and Tyrone Smith are, or back when the Browns had Alex Smith and Joe Thomas. So with that being said, I mean, we'll go from there, but let's dive into some comments real quick, and then we'll go to the next game. Let's go.
Yeah, so you got Les and MJ. Shout out to 94 Feet of Life.
Mm-hmm.
You got Les saying Matt Nagy does not fit in Chicago.
He doesn't.
And MJ agreeing with him. Hey, listen, Les, you fit more in Mountain Time than Matt Nagy fits in Chicago, okay? Plus, Mr. Trubisky doesn't fit there either. Plus, Matt Nagy is one of the worst play callers I have ever seen in my entire life. And MJ then again says, who wants to fly Spirit willingly? Brother, yes, nobody. Sleepless in Seattle, absolutely, which is BS. Indeed it is. Shout out to everybody in the comments. I just want to say, the last thing I'm going to say about this, about Seattle, and then, Jeremy, you can move on from it.
Mm-hmm.
It is beyond crucial to fix that offensive line. And also, what needs to be a top priority, Mr. 1 Cent, you need to get him healthy because Chris Carson clearly's shelf life is expiring. Go ahead, Jeremy.
So the next game we'll talk about, we're going to go to the Bears game, obviously here.
Yeah,
and the Bears and the Saints. I mean, this is a really simple thing for me. When Weems drops the ball, that's the game.
That's the game.
You can't. I mean, shouts out to Nate Burleson. He did a hell of a job explaining some different things.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to young Sheldon. He was out there explaining stuff. Hey,
was he?
I vote yes. He would explain every time there was a penalty.
Oh man,
that Nickelodeon feed was raw. I like
that's on Game Pass. I want to watch it now.
Hey, so here's the thing that I find is dope about the game. First thing is, I would love for grown folks who don't understand football to watch it on Nickelodeon and let them explain the game to y'all better, so that y'all can get it and understand. What is so funny?
Yeah. It was good.
What is so funny?
You're right.
Oh man, you are so right. You are so right,
bro. They did that was so much better than I thought.
Right,
so much better than I thought.
Right,
like that was an incredible job by those people.
I think Big Shot said that in the thread, and it was so accurate. It was so accurate.
So I'm that's all I'm gonna say with that. As far as the Bears go, it's simple. Quarterback, offensive line, running game could probably use a tune-up as well. Defensively, of course, the only thing I'm going to tell you to do is, I hate to say it, but you may have to move on from some of those pieces that you like up the middle. That means Hakeem Hicks. Hakeem, I love you. I think you're an excellent player, but we're not getting pressure up the middle, and that's a big problem right now. I understand the Saints is a tough test, but we gotta get better pressure up the middle, especially with those edge guys. It's interesting. They're in a cap situation. I want to see what I see from them. Matt Nagy, I believe, in my opinion, sabotaged the game. Making it to the playoffs saved his job, but after Weems dropped that pass, he sabotaged the game because he wanted to say he couldn't win with Mitch.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
I mean, look, Vic, go ahead. Go ahead, Vic.
I mean, there's really nothing much else.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's another team that needs to do a lot of changes in certain positions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did they deserve to be there or not? I mean, who am I to judge that?
Right.
I'm not going to judge that because, you make it as far as you can. But they have a lot of issues. Unfortunately, there's some young players there that are probably going to be there for a long time and not see much success from here on out. Eddie Jackson is one.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. You know what I was thinking the whole time? You know who I was mad at the whole time watching that game? Cliff Kingsbury. Because it is his fault that I had to sit there and watch Mitch Trubisky struggle to move the ball all game long. It was his fault that from the time they missed one offensive play, I'm like, damn, this game is over. It is his fault that Isaiah Simmons and Budda Baker and DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald and the little road runner quarterback are not in these playoffs, because that would have been a much better matchup, especially when you consider that Roquan Smith they're not playing that game. Mm-hmm. So that game was disappointing to me because I expected better. I was hoping for better. But
Didn't
again,
we all three picked the Bears. All three of us picked the Bears next?
I picked the Saints.
No, Jaron picked the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, Jaron picked the Saints. Just to let y'all know, I'm 0-6 in Wild Card Weekend. So
damn.
Because in the playoffs, I don't pick what I think. I pick who I want to see advance. That's where I go wrong. Film over feelings. But when it comes to these predictions in the playoffs, except for anyways, let's move on. Shout out to the comments real quick. Big shot calling Les the king of the Rockies. As far as Nate Burleson is concerned, look, I don't want this to come off as Nate Burleson slander, okay? I think Nate Burleson is an outstanding professional at his job. I cannot stand that morning show he's on. I can't stand it one bit. I watch it for 3 minutes and get a headache, okay? But for the little bit that I saw on Nickelodeon, he was phenomenal. And that might be his calling. His calling might be somehow, some way, just doing things with NFL 360 and NFL Kids stuff. And because he really knows how to break the game down to its most basic level. But I still can't stand him on that morning show because I just don't like that morning show.
Speaking of morning shows, let's get right into it. Let's get right into the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. Look, man, I'm gonna be straight to the point. Lamar, the defense, the running game, they came through. They did what they were supposed to do. Tennessee, you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
13 points in the playoff game. Defense played well, but they didn't play well enough to hold you to 13 points. And let me say this for everybody in the background who needs this explanation. Corey Davis has no business being on the sideline ever in life if he's available to play, unless he's getting some water, some Gatorade, or he's in concussion protocol. If I ever in my life see Corey Davis on the sideline again, and it's not one of those things, I want the coach to be immediately fired. I am tired of some of the nonsense that I have seen from this Tennessee Titans team. I'm tired of the Mike Vrabel, being smarter than everybody else until it's time to be smart situation. And I'm tired of half-ass effort
Yeah.
from grown men. I'm not saying that the Titans played half-ass. I'm saying some of the effort on some of those plays were half-ass. That's all I have to say.
The one thing I try not to do, Germ, is question players' efforts. But what I will say is, I just felt like the energy was lazy more than anything. I'm not gonna necessarily question the effort. I'm just gonna say the energy was lazy.
They felt like they were entitled to be there.
And they just felt like they could beat them. And really and truly, had they been professionals about their game plan, had they been just stuck to their identity, had they been really moving the ball, moving the trenches the way they have been doing all season, they'd have won this game because they are ultimately the better football team. But Baltimore, and this is the scary thing about Baltimore. Baltimore is a team that has enough talent that they can beat anybody in a one-game situation. That is what's scary about Baltimore. Forget the quarterback for a second, because I'm tired of him. Forget the quarterback for a second. It's about this secondary that's got names, that's got playmakers. It's about these linebackers that have speed, that have athleticism. It's about these defensive linemen who need to start winning their one-on-one matchups because that's why they were brought here. Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, Yannick Ngakoue. Don't rely on Matt Judon. Matt Judon needs to be your cleanup guy, not your game wrecker. That's the cleanup, not the glass breaker, not the wall breaker. So you need those guys to play at their best in order to keep advancing. And on the offensive side of the ball, look, you run the ball 3,900 times a game, that's going to increase your chances of winning if you're moving people and the other team is not doing what it's supposed to do. 18 carries for 40 yards for Derrick Henry, that's just unacceptable. And I'm not going to go ahead and take the axe to the head of Mike Vrabel because I think he's done a wonderful job with this team. But I think what you are starting to notice is while it may be a winning culture, is it a championship culture? While it is a team that knows how to win football games, it's still a team that knows how to lose them. And that's what you saw. And we talk about it in the playoffs. If one thing is going to happen, it will happen. It shall happen. Your weakness will get exposed. You will be put on a Summer Jam screen. It will happen in the playoffs. Happened to Seattle, happened to Chicago, happened to Washington, and it most certainly happened to the Tennessee Titans, who just dug themselves in the hole and didn't feel like getting out today. They had zero chance. Shout out to Stanley Yelnat. Go ahead, Vic.
I should have just went after you. I mean, because that was well said. You took everything there. But
I'm sorry. I get rolling.
No, it's good. Like you said, that was a big thing that you just said in terms of, are they a championship type of football team? Because I think there's limitations here, to be honest. There's limitations with the pass catchers to a certain extent. We'll see what Corey Davis is able to do, depending where he goes for the rest of his career. But other than that, I mean, you have a 2,000-yard running back, but he's not that elite running back that some people are going to think he is because of that number. You see a situation there where the Ravens did a good job basically just plugging into holes, plugging into A and B gaps. And he's not a running back that's going to create for himself. He needs blocking and he needs a runway. Basically, once, that's why if you notice, he has about another yard to 2 yards depth pre-snap.
Why is that?
Because he wants to get started faster.
Not only that, he needs the blocks to develop.
He needs the blocks to develop, right? So when those two things are working, then he's at his best, right? Because he's got the momentum, he's got the blockers ahead of him, and he's got the holes to get that momentum of that big weight that he has, right? It's like when you put a big thing on some wheels and just push it downhill. What's going to happen to that? It's going to keep going. And that explains Derrick Henry because once those holes start to get filled, those teams are strong enough. Calais Campbell had an outstanding game. He was moving the guards. was displacing them basically, covering some of those A gaps and stuff like that and B gaps. There was not enough creation for Derrick Henry. He doesn't have any lateral agility. He doesn't have that wide vision that you see from some of these other running backs.
Absolutely.
To create. So that got exposed, and then that brings us to the quarterback. Is he a championship quarterback? I mean, he's got some limitations there too. He was off, and they had the protection. They had the protection simply because it's a good pass protecting team, and the Ravens are not the best at pass rush, in the pass rush department right now. So he has some throws there where he could have made some better throws, and they might need some changes as well. They might need some changes. Start looking for their future at quarterback.
Right. Jerm, just to the comment section before I toss it back to you. MJ and Jay. MJ said more reason for Burleson to be on Nick, and MJ Big Shot. I mean, geez, so many comments to get to. Jay Ham said instead of film over feelings, preference over purpose in the playoffs. Shout out to that board. We talk about, let's see here. Big Shot said Vrabel coached very beta for a dude who was a tough guy. I absolutely agree with that. Jay Ham says Baltimore epitomizes no beef, no Lombardi. So do the Titans, believe it or not. But as somebody else said in the comments, Big Shot, they absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage. And that's what Vic was talking about, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side. And Calais Campbell, that's what a good defensive tackle does, unless you're Aaron Donald. A good defensive tackle is supposed to just occupy blocks and space, not necessarily wreck game plans, unless you're Aaron Donald. Go ahead, Jerm.
Well, the only thing I'll say is let me answer what Dion was asking. What happened? Simply put, they just stopped doing mesh concepts. They stopped doing the things that were working in the first quarter. They completely went away from those things. They got frustrated that they couldn't get Derrick Henry off, and they kept trying to run the same plays.
Right.
That's what happened. Baltimore, on the other hand, they didn't have to run the same plays because they ran the same 5 plays. Because Lamar Jackson got wherever he wanted on the edge, and that was something else. Your edge contain was not there. That is a big reason why they sealed the game the way that they did. Then, as well as that, the play that you have that Corey Davis is not in the game, you have the little small receiver in the game. He gets knocked down, and you get an interception. Who would have been running that post route, Vic? That would have been Corey Davis. If you knock Corey Davis down, that's going to draw a flag. So I ain't got to say nothing else. I ain't got to say nothing else about that. Moving on.
Big Shot said Derrick Henry needs the O'Hare runway to get going.
Pretty much, and that's what that was a lot on his scouting report as to why he fell to the second round, and Zeke was the first round pick that year. People were saying it just looks like he needs a runway to get started, and I mean he just went to a perfect team that was drafting well on the offensive line at the time, at the same time that he came in, so we'll see what happens with it. He got paid already.
So with that being said, let's get to the next part of this, which is let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about the Steelers debacle and their meltdown.
Yes,
because that's what it was. Listen, man, this is not me being unfair. Shouts out to the Browns for capitalizing because they scored touchdowns. But let's make sure we're fair. The reason why this was the way it was because at the end of the day, Pittsburgh turned the ball over 4 times in 1 quarter. That led to 28 points. Pittsburgh put up 37 in 3 quarters on the Browns.
Yeah.
10 points of that was in the last 4 minutes. I want y'all to understand something. Cleveland capitalized, but Cleveland got away. Shouts out to the Browns. They won. Pittsburgh shot themselves in the foot too many times. They couldn't overcome 4 turnovers and 28 points in 1 quarter. Period. That's all that needs to be said for me. Vic?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm one of the big Brown believers and love the football team, love the quarterback that they have there. Of course, the running back was, talk about 2 different running backs from who we just talked about a few minutes ago. That dude can do all types of things on the field. He can create. He can run you over. He can, I mean, whatever. He's catching the football. They got Kareem Hunt. So, you know, it was a matchup where they just got lucky for certain parts there in the beginning. And then it just a snowball effect going downhill. Turned into an avalanche for the Steelers, and they just couldn't overcome. The Browns have shown that in the second half they're just not the same team that they are in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that against their next matchup against Kansas City. So it's going to be interesting. I think Baker's playing well, despite some of the things that some of his critics have. I think he's playing well. Their run game is doing well, and I expect them to be at full health for this game. So I think it should still be an interesting game against the Chiefs. But they got lucky against the Steelers. They got lucky.
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say. The Steelers are the Saints of the AFC. Because I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Mike Tomlin needs to be fired. That would be asinine. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Juju Smith-Schuster has to go. That would not be very smart. What I will tell you is this. Pittsburgh needs to take a real hard look at where they're going over the next 5 years. And what they need first and foremost is an answer from Ben Roethlisberger if he's coming back. Because he seemed a little disinterested, and I think it hit him when they got in the mud and it turned into quicksand and he realized that, damn, I'm really going to lose this game to a team that I have dominated my entire career. I'm going to lose to them at home. Is this really the way my career is going to end? That's really when I started seeing emotion for the first time in about 7 weeks from Big Ben Roethlisberger. And that's probably reality hitting him. And that's fine. If you got to go, if it's your time to walk away, salute to you. Take off our hat and we'll shout you out. And you are a first ballot Hall of Famer. You one of the best to ever do it. That'll never change. Excuse me.
Life comes at you fast.
It most certainly does, Germ. It most certainly does. And I think, it's certainly a new age in the AFC, and that's something we're going to talk about on Thursday. But I think that's where it's got to start for the Steelers. Is that Ben, it's time to hit the road, Jack. Get on your Harley, put on your helmet on this time, and drive safely to your destination. Make your hotel reservation. Shout out to Movado, dance hall.
They just don't have the replacement yet. So
that's where I'm going to get to next. That's what I'm going to get to next. I don't think it's time for Pittsburgh to draft a quarterback. I think it's time they move on. But hey, Pittsburgh, for those of you who don't know, is the city of bridges. Pittsburgh, for those of you who don't know, has the second most bridges in the world. Get you one more bridge. Get you Matt Stafford. Get you Matt Ryan. Get you Ryan Fitzpatrick. Get you somebody who can help you transition over the next 2 years until you find the future of your franchise. Because you do need to revamp and get some youth on that offensive line. And that's number one before you get you a franchise quarterback and you bury his career. That's what.
How did you just connect that? How did you just put those things together?
I don't know.
Because listen, when you're with goats,
exactly,
you tend to do goat things.
Listen,
damn it.
We in our luggage, okay? They put in heavy on our bags.
Yes, very good. Mo, talk your talk.
Hey, now listen, I might not get through TSA very easily, but that's a different story. Go ahead.
Hey, you
Jerry.
know what? Whoa. But Mo, that's an excellent point, because you know what the thing is that we should be talking about? We not looking at quarterbacks that we may say are franchise quarterbacks this year. May have one or two. But what are those guys going to end up being? Bridge quarterbacks. Because they may be bridges to another guy. So it's either you're going to draft a quarterback or you're going to replace one in free agency.
Trav said Jameis.
Absolutely.
Hey,
absolutely.
But Jameis can turn into to be the franchise quarterback.
But
That's the
Jameis should
thing.
be the franchise quarterback of the Saints.
Well, when you sign somebody for $1 million and then say Taysom Hill is worth $16 million, that's a different story.
Unbelievable.
But now we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Redskins. Tampa Bay prevailed, whatever the case may be. Let me say this. Ron Rivera, you are now on the Germ So True spotlight. I want to see what the hell you do next. Because now I want to know what is the plan.
He's been in the spotlight.
No. The Germ spotlight is different. Now
he's been in your spotlight.
No. This spotlight is different. Because now I seen you run one guy into the ground, run guy out of town, and bring another guy back. So now I want to see what is the plan. What is the plan of action moving forward? How do you expand on what you have built? As far as the Buccaneers go, I have nothing to say about you guys. I want to see y'all take care of business this week. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to say. Let me just say, besides that, I don't really care. I don't really care. Just take care of business when you're supposed to take care of business. Win is a win in the playoffs. That's just how it goes. Mo, go ahead.
Well, as far as Washington, I'll keep it quick on this one. As far as Washington, I think you need to take a good hard look at Taylor Heineken and see if he is your future. Because Alex, again, shout out to you. Round of applause. Same thing. We're gonna tip our hat. You might probably not a Hall of Famer, but you for sure will always have our respect. Especially when you told us the reason you did what you did, the reason you came back was to show your kids. That is awesome. That's beautiful. That is a great lesson to teach the other generation about what really life is about. But I think when you saw the way his season came to an end and just having these nagging things in your lower body in terms of functionability, and I'm sure Vic can talk about this, it's time to hang it up, Alex. It really is. And not because you can't play, not because you're not a good quarterback, but just for the health and safety of you and the quality of life that we want you to live as people who admire these athletes. It's time for you to go. And for the Bucks, we'll get to you on Thursday. Y'all better be at your best come Sunday. Go ahead, Vic.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the calf injury came from the same leg that was operated on.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, it's one of those things where, like, after so much impact for a certain amount of period, to have gone through what he went through with that leg, it's one of those things where he's probably going to experience that if he try to play another season. Within 8 to 10 weeks, he's going to experience it again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's tough. Congratulations for him, because at one point we were like, man, you shouldn't even be playing, and then he looked good for about 4 or 5 weeks there. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's time for him to just let it go. Heineke again was excellent. Shout out to Joe Maver. He's Washington guy here in Petty, but that football team to me they fought hard. For a certain extent, I thought they outplayed Tampa Bay. But like I said before, Tampa Bay was just more experienced and more talent on their roster. So I mean, Washington has a lot to build with there. As far as Tampa Bay, I mean, we're going to talk about a little bit more in the future, Thursday and stuff like that in the pregame shows. But I think that they missed 45. I think 45 was an important piece to that defense, and they're going to definitely need them against the Saints offense, especially with that speed from Kamara and the space that they like to use in the middle with Michael Thomas. I think number 45 is going to be important for that defense. So, but we'll talk a little bit more down the road about that.
Got you. I like all of those things. So I saved this matchup last because this was the best matchup of the weekend.
It was. It
really did set the whole tone for the weekend.
Yes.
And that's Buffalo and Indianapolis.
Yes.
That was the best game of the weekend. It was engaging from the time it started to the end of the game. I'm so proud of that game. I'm proud of Josh Allen. Phillip Rivers, if that's your last game, that's the way you go out.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, it's not really. He didn't play bad.
No,
He
he
fought.
didn't.
He fought.
He
He
didn't.
played well.
Yeah.
Buffalo's defense made plays when they had to.
Yes.
Say what you want about the blown assignments there, here and there. They made plays when they had to. That's the key part of what that team does. At the end of the day, offensively, defensively, they make plays when they have to.
Yeah.
They scored enough points to win the game, obviously, by scoring more touchdowns than the other team did, obviously, and that's the difference in the game.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the 94 feet of life guys. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Phillip Rivers is basically Chris Paul of the NFL. He's gonna win some games. He's gonna provide some value to your locker room and to your play on the field or on the court. He's gonna be a leader. He's gonna elevate those around him. He's gonna do all those things. He just doesn't have what you need at that position to advance to that, to get over the hump, so to say. And that's just the bottom line for Phillip. As for Josh Allen, I am very critical of him. I still need to see some more. I still need to see some consistency. All that is true. But I always give credit to the player when credit is due. I did it earlier this season with him, and I'm going to do it again here tonight. I thought he played really well. I thought he managed the game well. I thought he made some really good throws. And not all of them were because he was just impatient. Some of them, he really did have to move and do this and do that. So shout out to you, Josh. Football maturity is clearly the theme of 2020 season. And he more than anybody else this weekend showed that he's truly evolving. And good for him. Good for him. Listen, the one thing we went back and forth because you guys talked about the upside, and I could never deny the upside. But if he does keep doing this, that upside that you guys talked about is
on
more
full
than
display.
it's more than capable of reaching. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Film over feelings, baby.
Yeah.
Film over feelings.
Nah, I mean, my the things that I was looking for Josh to be better at, and what from college and stuff, was accuracy, number one, and what his attitude was going to be towards playing the game. Because there was periods in his college career where it looked like he was just too immature, and like Ronnie likes to point out, like you just pointed out, there's a lot of maturity now coming out from this kid. He just has a stage presence. Shout out to Battle Rap, but he has a stage presence of him right now.
Sure.
That is shining through that football team. He looks in control. So I mean, and then the accuracy. I mean, his accuracy ratings, numbers, grades, whatever you want to put it, has all taken a huge leap from being bottom half of the league to being the top half of the league. So this is a kid that has an outstanding future. As far as the Bills defense, it was the ultimate bend but don't break situation with them in this past game. They made some huge stops in the red zone, even in the 2-point conversion. That was crazy because I mean there was a period there where the Colts were just doing anything they wanted until they got to that last 5 yards that they needed to score.
Or the last 20 yards, for that matter. They did a good job in that area. If that's the area that you want to focus on as an up-and-coming coach, it don't matter how many yards you give up in between the 20s. If you can stop teams in that red area, you're going to win games naturally.
Right. No, and I mean, their linebackers were exposed by the tight ends. And for a little bit there, they were also being exposed by the run game from the Colts. And what is those two things that the next matchup does well? And that's use the tight end and use the running game very well in the Ravens. So they're gonna have to clean that up from this game. It seemed like they game plan, like Jerm said, for the red zone, and they game plan for stopping the Colts receivers. Well, now they're gonna have to game plan against the tight end and against that running game. So I hope the Bills defense is able to come up for this matchup, because I am definitely gonna pick them. I like to see Josh Allen, of course, advance to the next round.
Sure.
And we got a situation on hand we'll be talking about here in about 30 seconds. I'm gonna let Mo go. I'm gonna set up some things and we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, I just want to get to the comments real quick. Big Shot calls it views from the 94. Germ called it
94 feet of views.
94 feet of views. That's right. Whichever one you want to call it. Trav said that Phillip Rivers needs to get out of his league. And Big Shot says that he holds his hands up on Josh. He's so improved. That's where I stand as well. That's what Vic was talking about. That's what Germ was talking about. That's why they ranked him. I should say we now. That's why we ranked him number one. Yeah, Germ.
Well, take some credit because the team you with ultimately, they still do have some of the similar reflections as you do as well sometimes.
Sure.
Which is why when we do it, when we do a draft board, it doesn't matter what the draft board says, who did it. It still reflects views.
Oh, no doubt.
And I say that all the time.
And I think you guys know one thing. If I disagreed with it to the point of disagreeing with it, we'd have never let it go. We'd have been arguing, and the board would have never gotten done. But at the end of the day, there was a night where we just got in the lab, and Vic said what he said. You said what he said. I'm like, all right, fine, put him number one. I don't like it, but put him number one.
And because sometimes what we have to do is we have to be objective to some things that we want. I mean, Carson Wentz, I wasn't always a big fan of Carson Wentz.
There you go.
As a prospect, but as a professional quarterback, you can't deny it.
Right.
So, last thing before we get ready to set up. Of course, we have our Thursday show. Of course, we got Saturday, which on Saturday we got April. Shouts out to her. She'll be on the show with us on Saturday, talking about a certain quarterback that she likes and who her Super Bowl pick is and Super Bowl matchup is. But we got the Ravens going up against the Bills in the AFC on Saturday, and we got the Rams versus the Packers on Saturday, and then Sunday we got Browns Chiefs, and we got Buccaneers going back to Indianapolis. Back to New Orleans. So those will be the games we'll be breaking down in the matchup show. We got a Thursday night matchup show. We're going back to the lab.
Yes.
So now, from this point forward on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, bring your notebook, bring your popcorn, bring your drinks. Because now we got film reference.
Yes.
There will be no more opinions.
Nope.
This will be all film based.
Yep.
This will be nothing more than film timestamps. So prepare yourself for a 45-minute hour, maybe an hour and 30, depending on how much luggage we carry in. Now we're gonna go at it, you know what I'm saying, for at least a good hour. We're gonna have timestamps prepared and everything.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be a full-on lab session. Like Thursday's show is truly what Views from the 22 was created for.
Yep.
And we don't want to do it as much. We tried to save it for the big important stuff. This is the big important stuff. It's not going to be something that you see on TV. It's not going to be something that you listening on the radio. It's going to be the purest form of football conversation that you can find. And I invite you to invite whoever you want to invite for a lesson. Go ahead, John.
Absolutely. And then final thoughts for the show here, Vic.
Go ahead, Vic.
What you mean? I'm good. I mean, I think it was an excellent show. Took us a little bit more time than we typically do, but I think there was a lot of views
at the beginning.
Oh yeah. No, there was a lot of views. A lot of people were intrigued. A lot of people commented. I mean, shout out to the love that we get and the followers and all that stuff, man. I mean, you guys are welcome to be on this camera too.
And no
if
doubt.
you need any questions, I mean, you want to lab
study
somebody,
with us?
Lab somebody,
Absolutely.
study with us. April has already studied with us. Of course, the 94 Feet of Life guys have studied with us. So, I mean, we here. It's for everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Mo, anything you got?
Look here, man. These matchups Saturday and Sunday are so intriguing. So intriguing. You got Baker Mayfield versus Patrick Mahomes, followed by Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. That is such an ironic thing of young bulls of the AFC watching OGs of it all, and obviously the gatekeeper of the AFC for the better part of 20 years. And then on Saturday, man, look, you talking about Bills Ravens? You talking about Slander Bowl in the playoffs? Sign me up all
This is
the way. And then, if that isn't enough, you got Aaron Donald versus Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Donald Duck greater than Roger Duck. I don't even know if that's a thing. All I know is Rodgers, you better be prepared because there's a chance you get some football trauma by the time this game is over. Buckle up for this weekend.
Hopefully it'll skew some of these MVP voters this weekend.
Hey,
It'll mess
See
with
my
their
pen?
minds a little bit.
y'all see my pen?
Whatever.
This is the Germ So True Sign Me Up week.
Yes.
Sign me up. I'm usually I gotta put it in there. Vic, sign me up. See, that's how you check. We got a famous signature.
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Yeah. So hey, this is your fault. My signature, I always ended very aggressively. Like I put my name and I put my middle initial and I just boom, a hard dot for whatever reason. I don't know why.
So with that being said,
I'm gonna forward your
I can't
signature.
it's a little
Vic, get your
backward.
signature off the screen, Vic.
That's the V with the check mark. You know what I mean?
with the check mark,
You know, the
Okay.
V.
yeah, I got you. Not really. So with that being said, we have the Great Lab show we got on Thursday for you guys. Shouts out to everybody in the comments. My
Yes.
final thought of the night is, hey man, just be prepared for this show on Thursday because I'm so excited for these matchups. I got timestamps in my head. I got some stuff that we're going to talk about. When we come back on Thursday, y'all be prepared. And anybody who wants to join this particular show, I have one requirement. There will be no talking.
Nope.
And we got to make sure we ask our questions and get the questions out. Let's get everybody all together and let's get it by Wednesday. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Views from the 22. Live on the scene. Lab Extraordinaire show. That means lab will be law. Baby, let's go. Anything else, fellas? Anything
Nah,
else?
baby, sign this out.
Take us home. Take us home, True. 2-2. Hey, make sure you
You're
guys
the host tonight, bro. You gotta do it.
Yo, I was take us home, True.
False start. Everybody but the center.
Oh man. With that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir.
Views from the 22 live on the scene again. Scene_the Twitter, the.scene Instagram. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. You never know when we may go live, but you know the next time we're going live, or do you?